Hey everybody, we're gonna get started in about a minute or so here. I appreciate you guys joining me today. I will just check a couple of technical things to make sure that this webinar will go smoothly, or as smoothly as possible, I should say. So yeah, go ahead and grab some coffee. I will see you in a minute. Let me know if you couldn't hear what I was just saying. Let me know if the video and the audio is good, or if I need to make some adjustments so you guys can see and hear me all right. All right, thank you so much for joining me today. My name is Dan Salcedo. I am the training specialist here in customer care for Top Producer, and one of our products is called FiveStreet, and that's what we're going to be talking about today. For those who don't know what FiveStreet is, it's basically a way for you to better manage your online leads. And the biggest thing with leads is you got to get to them right away. Speed is the key, right? So we're going to be talking about that and how our product is able to make that a more automated process. And as a result, hopefully, you have an increase in your conversion rate for your online leads. I know that we're all busy, especially you guys as realtors. So you need all the help that you can get, right? So that's why we have FiveStreet, and we'll talk about a little bit more here. Let me just share my notes. Okay, so speed is the key. That's what this graph is basically saying. What we found through some studies is that the longer you wait to talk to your online lead, the less likely they're even going to answer your call. So that's what this orange bar means. So in the first 5 minutes, you can see that the orange bar is pretty high, right? That means that that's how many people you were able to get to answer your call, right? So you ring them within the first 5 minutes, they're answering your call. That's what that orange bar means. And out of those people that answer your call, the green bar is the people that you're actually able to qualify. So they want to continue to talk to you, right? So that's for the first 5 minutes. But if you couldn't respond to them within the first 5 minutes, and let's say you responded to them within the first 10 minutes, so it's a little longer from the time that they ask for help, you can see that there's a huge decrease in the number of leads that's gonna answer your call, and of course qualify them, right? So that's what this graph is basically saying here is every second, every minute counts, and the longer you wait to talk to them, the less likely you're not going to be able to talk to them. So that's a big problem that realtors face right now. There's a lot of competition. So people go online, and they're not just going on one website, they're going on all of them. So they're going to Zillow, they're going to realtor.com, they're going to like Remax, Century 21, Keller Williams, Global Banker, all those different websites out there. And what we're seeing here is that only half of those buyer leads are actually being responded to. So the other half, nobody's talking to them. They just kind of go into the twilight zone for whatever reason. And the people that did get contacted, they're having to wait the next day as the average response time. And as you saw from the graph, that next day, even just after, let's say 40 minutes, even after 40 minutes, you can see that you're not qualifying any more leads, at least from that graph. And the people that are following up with their buyer leads, so the average response time is the next day, 16 hours, and only a quarter of those leads are being followed up within the first hour. So this is basically where we found an opportunity where realtors can change this habit of following up the next day. And that's why we built FiveStreet. FiveStreet is basically one single platform. I think I say it's like a funnel. So you buy leads from Zillow, you buy leads from Realtor.com, you buy leads from all sorts of websites out there, or maybe you even have your own custom website where you get online leads from. Instead of having to log into each of those dashboards, send all your leads into one dashboard. It's easier to train, it's easier to learn, especially if you have a bigger team, right? You don't have to train them on how to use Zillow, how to use Realtor.com. Send it all into the FiveStreet dashboard, and that way it's easier for you to manage all those leads all in one website. What FiveStreet does is it sits right in between the lead provider where you get your leads and all the follow-up that you do with after that first impression. So FiveStreet is basically where you would manage your first impression, that right away when the lead is captured. That's where FiveStreet sits in. We don't provide leads ourselves, at least as far as I know. Right now we don't. Maybe in the future, who knows? But for now, we do not sell leads. All we do is help you with that lead and make sure that you're responding to them right away. And we'll talk about all the different features of how it does that. And then after that initial first impression that you handle through FiveStreet, if they need a little bit more nurturing, you need to call them a few times, send them emails a few times, text them a few times before they convert. Then you're going to need something like a Top Producer X CRM. You'll need some sort of follow-up or some database system to make sure that you continue your follow-up with that lead. And if you guys don't already know, we have a really powerful CRM called Top Producer X. And if you guys want to know more information about that, if you don't have Top Producer already, just post it in the chat and we'll have someone reach out to you. And just to kind of dive deeper into it, what happens is when you get that lead from your lead provider, and we have partnerships with hundreds of third parties, like as you saw, Zillow, Realtor.com, Trulia, Market Leader, Remax, Keller Williams, etc., etc. So what happens is that person goes online, looks for a property that they want to get more information on, and they fill out that form on that website. That form, it's being sent to FiveStreet if you have it set up. It's being sent to FiveStreet, and what FiveStreet does on step 2 is we will automatically reply to them with a text and or an email, and it looks like it's customized just for them because it'll have their name on it. It'll show what property they're inquiring about and what website they're on. And that happens within seconds, basically, right? And the key here is, or the two keys here, it's customizable and it's automatic. So even if a lead is in the middle of the night looking at houses and they want more information about that dream home that they found, as soon as they submit that form, it's going to look like you're going to text them back right away within like a few seconds. So on your end, you might be sleeping or you might be out, showing a house at that time or whatever, right? The key there is it's automatic. It's doing that job for you. So you're not having to wait the next day to respond to them, right? FiveStreet responds to them within the first minute or so. Now, if you're part of a team, the other thing that FiveStreet does is it helps you distribute that lead to your team. And you can do it in two ways. The traditional way is round robin, where everybody on your team gets a turn. So when that lead goes online, they fill it out, and then it'll go to the person on your team that its turn. So it could be Sally, that'll be her turn, and then the next lead would go to John. The next lead would go to Mary, etc., etc. So you can do that traditional round robin. But what we found is, as you can probably tell, what we found is that person's whose turn it is, they might be busy with something else. They might be busy with another client that they're showing a house to, or they might be sick or out of the office for that day. So instead of round robin, what we actually recommend is setting it up so that the lead is broadcasted to the entire team. So everyone on the team gets a text message or an alert saying, hey, this lead just went on realtor.com. Press claim so that this lead goes to you. So it kind of creates this friendly competition and in turn, the lead is getting a quicker response from an agent, a live response from an agent. So when you have that set up, you can just, instruct your agents in your brokerage to say, hey, whenever you guys get a lead, whoever claims it first gets that lead. It's not everyone gets a turn anymore. It's whoever claims that lead gets that lead. So of course, they can't just hit claim if they're not ready to talk to that lead, right? So you might have to establish some ground rules there. They can't just hit claim without being ready to talk to them right away. The other ways you can distribute your leads is through what we call lead routing rules or forwarding rules. For example, we have a routing rule where if that lead is inquiring about a property that one of your agents is the listing agent for, what it's going to do is it's going to send that lead to that listing agent that's in charge of that listing, and it'll skip the rest of the team. So if that's something that you guys want to do, you can do that with the routing rules. The other routing rule that you can set up is zip code or area. So if you're in a larger city, for example, maybe you have smaller teams or you have individual agents in charge of their own territory. For example, here in the metropolitan Vancouver area up here in Canada, there's different suburbs, right? So there's the downtown Vancouver territory, there's Burnaby, there's Richmond, there's Surrey, there's Abbotsford, so there's all these different territories. What you can do is when a lead is inquiring about a property and it's in a specific territory, you can send that lead to a specific agent on your team that's in charge of that territory, or that's that group of the agents that's in charge of that territory. Same thing with source. So what source means is if a lead is coming from a specific source, maybe you buy leads from realtor.com, Zillow, Trulia, or whatever it may be, where depending on where they are coming from, that's the source, you can set it to go to a specific agent or a team on your brokerage. One good example of that is for Zillow. As some of you guys probably know, Zillow has something called a Zestimate, right? Where it kind of gives an educated guess of how much that property could sell for. So this is really an attractive figure to sellers, potential sellers, because of course they want that high number, right, of the Zestimate. You might have an agent in your team that's more proficient with using Zillow, or they're better at explaining the Zestimate so that the lead has a more realistic expectation of what their property is actually going to sell for, and it might not be anywhere close or near close to the Zestimate value that they're seeing on the screen. So that's what we mean with being able to route your leads by source. You can send it to a particular person or a particular group in your team that's just in charge of that lead provider. Lastly, as an as an example, excuse me, you can set up a routing rule based on price. So let's say you want to reward your best agents on your team, right? The people that are responding to their leads within seconds, within a minute, right? They're very attentive to new leads. You might want to set up a rule to reward them. So anytime a lead is inquiring about a property that's more than, let's say, $1 million, or if you're in a in a more expensive area, you can set it to over $2 million or whatever, right? You can set that lead that inquires about that price or properties that's higher than that price to a specific agent or a specific group in your team. So all your, let's say you have employee of the month, you can send all the leads inquiring about properties more than $1 million to that employee of the month, and then anyone's looking for properties under $1 million, it goes to the rest of the team. So these are just some examples of how you can do lead routing with FiveStreet. Of course, we're going to talk to you and discuss how you have or how you want that lead routing to be set up. That's part of the qualifying conversation that we'll have when you talk to one of our sales team to make sure that it works for you, or we can make sure that it works or it's configured the way you want it to. All right, so what does the lead actually see when you respond to them automatically? This is exactly what it is. So it looks personalized. It's not just some sort of robotic greeting that says, "Thank you for your inquiry. We will get back to you as soon as possible." It's not like that. It actually grabs the information that they put into that capture form, like their name, what website they were inquiring on, and what property they were asking about. So it's going to say, "Hi, Jane, I got your inquiry about 123 Main Street on Realtor.com. When is a good time to talk? Sandra Agent." And they get it in seconds, basically, right? Depending, of course, on your phone carrier, right? We've had customers switch phone carriers because their team members were getting the text messages faster than them, and they didn't want to get left behind, so they upgraded from one of the cheaper carriers to one of the more expensive ones. That way they were getting those text messages quickly. Now, when that lead is captured and they get that text response from you, on the other end, this is the text alert that you would get. For example, this lead, his name is Craig Simino. It's got his information on there. It's got the property that he's asking about. So that's what it's going to look like for you. And a lot of our customers don't even log into the FiveStreet dashboard on their computer. You can basically use FiveStreet just from your phone, just from these alerts that you get. Now, if you do have a team set up, it's going to look a little bit differently. It's not going to show that leads information right away. So you'll notice that their email and their phone number, some parts of it are blurred out or hidden. That's because we don't want everybody on the team to try to contact this lead, right? It only allows you to contact this lead if you hit claim. So whoever claims this lead owns that lead, and then that will reveal their contact information. Everybody else won't see that contact information, so they can't try to steal someone else's lead, for example. And once you've claimed it, this is what it's going to look like. It's going to have their information on there, and we'll also validate if their phone number is fake or not. It's going to have a little green check mark there to tell you that it's validated. And other things that it'll show you is like the source, where it came in, what time it came in, what date that it came in, any other notes that they put into that lead capture form from whatever website they were on. Plus, if someone referred a lead to you through FiveStreet, it will also tell you who referred that lead to you. So if somebody else was using FiveStreet and they sent you a lead, it'll say their name there, and that's, maybe you want to buy them coffee next time for giving you that lead, right? Or a referral fee. I'm sure they'll probably appreciate a referral fee more than coffee. The other thing that it does is it's going to automatically use their name and contact information, like their email. And we're going to go through all these social media websites to see if they're on there, like Facebook, Twitter, or LinkedIn. And if there's anything that they've shared to the general public about them. So if they've shared their gender, for example, their job title, their company, their work location, and maybe even their picture, right? What this is useful for is to just help you break that ice when you're talking to that lead and be a bit more prepared in how you'll speak to them. For example, this one here, it says this lead is the director of marketing for their company, right? And they work in the Washington, D.C. metro area. So that will kind of give you a clue as far as to what they could probably afford. Director of marketing sounds like they're probably have a higher income than the average person. So they might be looking at properties closer to the downtown area, or if they want to step back a little bit more, they can probably afford a single detached that has more rooms compared to another one, right? Because their income is higher. So it just kind of gives you a clue as far as how you can talk to them. And the best thing about this social media insight is it's automatic. You don't have to like add them as a friend on Facebook. You don't have to look for them themselves. You don't have to hit a button to say sync. It just does it automatically. I do see it as a bonus because sometimes it won't show anything, and it really depends on the person's privacy setting, right? If they're really strict and they don't share that information, then you won't see any information here. Or maybe that social media website is also strict with sharing that information to the general public. It might not show in there as well. So just something to keep in mind about the social media insight. It's automatic. It's great when it works, when it's a bonus, but it does depend on some privacy settings on the other end. The next thing it's going to do is going to show you any details about that property that they're inquiring about. For example, the MLS number, the address, year built, etc. So it's just going to give you a bit of information on what the property is about. Of course, nothing replaces what the information you would get on the MLS website. So this is just kind of a quick way to kind of get a quick snapshot of what they might be asking about. Lastly, what FiveStreet does is if you set up multiple lead providers, it's going to help you get more insight about your leads that you're buying, right? If you're buying leads from Zillow, Realtor.com, Global Banker, for example, right? You're buying all these leads because you're sending them all into FiveStreet. It's allowing it to create some performance graphs, and from those performance graphs, you'll gain some insight so that you can see which lead providers are giving you the most out of the most of the costs that you're spending. So that's the return on investment, right? Which one is maximizing your ROI out of the lead providers that you get? If I just zoom into this example here, so you'll notice this orange bar, this is Realtor.com. This green bar is also Realtor.com, but for rentals. And then this purple bar is for Zillow. What I can deduce from this graph is it looks like most of my leads are coming from Realtor.com. So maybe I want to increase my lead budget for Realtor.com. I might want to put into more money into that. And Zillow, it looks like it kind of disappeared after February here. So I might want to talk to Zillow and call them up and say, hey, where are my leads at, right? So this is just giving you an insight all in one place, and it's very quick. It's right on the homepage. That way you don't have to log into Zillow. You don't have to log into Realtor.com. You don't have to log into Global Banker to know where all your leads are at as far as the process goes. So that's what we mean with performance insight for brokers. This is also good for single agents too. If you're on your own and you don't have a team, if you have all these lead providers that you've signed up with, you'll gain those insights that you'll need to save costs, because you don't want to keep wasting money on a lead provider that's not getting you leads that converts, right? So it says here performance insights for brokers, but it's also good for single agents. And just to recap before we get to your final questions, by the way, if you do have any questions, I'm going to go over those after this slide. So I do see there's a few already in there. But if you haven't typed up your question yet, now's the time. Because once we go through this slide, I'll take your final questions, and then I'll let you guys get on with the rest of your day. All right. So just to recap, FiveStreet consolidates all your leads all in one place. It's got that personalized automated text response or email response that sends it within seconds. Those broadcasting rules, there's all sorts of options that you can do. Remember, I do recommend the broadcasting style of, instead of round robin, I recommend the one where it sends it to all your team all at once. And it's a competition. Whoever claims it first gets that lead. The benefit to that is the lead is getting a response quicker than they would if it's somebody else's turn and there's assigned turns, right? So just keep that in mind. The best agent is the available agent. And it's mobile friendly. So as I said, a lot of our customers don't even bother logging in on their laptop to use their FiveStreet. They get an alert on their phone, and they just work FiveStreet from there. They can convert that lead right from their phone. Following up effectively, that is because we give you the intel about their social media insight, which I showed you, and the property that they're inquiring about. So that's what we mean about following up more effectively. It's giving you that insight that's automatic, and tracking the real time and reporting, which I just showed you from that graph. It helps you save costs and increase your return on investment based on the insights that you gain from those graphs on our dashboard. And as a bonus, if you do have top producer X, or if you're thinking about getting a CRM like top producer X, we can send that lead automatically to that CRM software that you use. So you don't have to manually enter that information again to continue to nurture that lead. There are some other software that we integrate with, but mainly it's our own, of course, right? Obvious. Top Producer X CRM, that has the best integration with FiveStreet. So let me go ahead and take a look at our chat here to see if we got some questions. Looks like we are good on that side, and I'll just check YouTube right now, see if we've got any questions. No, we are good there too. So I appreciate you guys joining me on YouTube and Zoom. Thank you so much for joining me. Again, my name is Dan Salcedo. On chat is Marvin LaRosa. He's been the one that's posting those helpful tips and articles. So thank you so much, Marvin. And anyone else, thank you so much for joining. This webinar is recorded. So if you haven't checked us out on YouTube, just look for us on YouTube, youtube.com/TPCampus, and you can watch this webinar at another time. Thank you so much, and have a great day.